Where it go? You all know me, Raggedy White Tee, just comfortable. I'm just gonna go over the NFL, like I said, the NFL first round, the picks, some of the picks, some what I feel about, not all of them, but I'm gonna just do a little bit of rundown and second round. One thing I'm gonna say about this second round and this third round, for the second round, I don't think that I've seen this much first round talent in a draft go that's up in the second round, that's available in the second round, than I think I've seen in a draft that I've covered in this lifetime. You understand me? Like, it's crazy how many players that I would say, definitely first round pick, especially in other drafts and in this draft, and they slid. So for a lot of teams that don't have the second round picks, the third round picks, like, this is the draft to trade back in, sacrifice them picks from the next year. So let me just run through, and I'm gonna be reading, so I'm gonna be looking away from the screen. My thoughts on Burrow. Burrow was the safe pick. As a GM, my job's on the line. I'm taking him because Tua was a gamble. I think Tua has the skill set, and he has the ability to just be an awesome player. And Burrow, when I look at Burrow, I look at I see a Tom Brady ceiling, but I also see a possible Sam Bradford. Playing, having small hands and playing in that AFC North and playing in Cincinnati with that inclement weather. Even though he's from Ohio, it's like, you know, if Burrow becomes a bust, I'm not gonna be one of the ones that's just like totally shocked. Even though I still want him to be successful, so I'm not wishing him not to be successful. I'm just saying that he's just not that lock that I feel like everybody feels. And my main knock on him is that we basing everything on one good year, and we've seen several through different drafts, especially in the NFL, where you have a player that has one good collegiate year, and you're basing a lot off of that. Not to mention, you're not maybe thinking about the skill set of the players behind them. So, maybe if you put him on a scrub team, he maybe wouldn't shine. But the Burrow pick, I'm okay with it. The Chase Young, when I say this is the draft of regrets, it's a lot of teams that's gonna look. I feel like it's gonna look back and be like, shit, why we pass up on him? And I feel like Chase Young is a beast, most talented player in the draft. But for the Skins, I just feel like that it may, and knock on wood, it's possible that they'll look back and say, why the fuck we didn't get a quarterback? Because if Haskins don't pan out, then they might just be sitting around looking. Andrew Thomas, well, Kuda going to the Lions. I had them taking the linebacker Simmons, and I had Akuda in several of my mock drafts too. So I had those two players. Kuda made more sense. I just felt like for an identity purpose, I think Simmons could have come in and give him an identity and be that beast. Sometimes you have a shit. They just lost a good fucking cornerback, a Pro Bowl cornerback, and they were shit. So I don't really feel like cornerbacks are those difference makers, unless Deion Sanders and those ones through history. But for a lot of times, even though you can have a great ass quarterback on a bad team, shit, look at Patrick Peterson. You've been over in Arizona and they've been fucking shit. I mean, to be honest, but they haven't been the best. And he had some great years, and of course you can say that for a lot of other positions. I just felt like for an identity, Simmons would have been better. Andrew Thomas, I had him as a top offensive tackle. A lot of other sports people had him kind of like fourth, fifth, sixth best offensive tackle. But I felt like it was something special, so I didn't think he was gonna go that early. I had the Browns taking him at 10 and one mock, And then in my final mock, I had the Cardinals taking them at 8. So I still had them going earlier than a lot of people thought. I didn't think 4, but I think that's a good pick for Georgia. Tua, Herbert, I had them flip flop for a while. Good picks. C.J. Henderson, I'm not surprised. He moved up on my board. I was tempted to move him up even to 10 to the Browns, even though I know they got some good cornerbacks. So, very talented. And I'm looking through the draft. I like a lot of the picks. I've seen you see Lamb slid to the Cowboys. I had the Cowboys taking the defensive player, which I think they would have, but no one expected Lamb to slide that far. Even though he didn't slide far, I figured with the run of 12 picks, 12, 13, 14, 15, 11, you figure they were all have been gone. Biggest surprise is that Tristan, the offensive tackle from Iowa, slid all the way to 13. I had him coming off the board first, and for him to fall there with Tom Brady, I mean, that's amazing. AJ Terrell, I feel like he's a little bit of a stretch. He was a player that I had a good grade on, but I had him going in the beginning of the second round. But, if the Falcons really loved him, I feel like the Falcons could have went a lot of different ways. Let me see. I would say the biggest reach right now, you got the Raiders that went and got the cornerback from Ohio State. Now, y'all know I'm a Buckeyes, Ohio, do or die, but I didn't have them going that far, but obviously it was something that they loved about them and they wish them the best, but that was a reach. The Eagles, I'm a little disappointed in the Eagles because I felt like it was a lot of receivers that I had higher than Mr. Jalen, but like I said, once again, it's something they love. I felt like he would have been around. Trying to think. San Francisco went and got their receiver. A lot of props on this receiver. A lot of people bigging up on him. I had him in the second round, but once again, another shocker was Jordan Love. Now I had Jordan Love in my final mock draft going 20 to we're going in the 20s to Jacksonville, so he's still winning his 20s. Some people had him going in second, third round, so some people had him top 10. Now, getting him while you got Aaron Rodgers, it raises a lot of questions, because if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, yo, give me some weapons, give me some receivers, give me a tight end, give me offensive lineman, do something. But you go get a quarterback with that first pick, it's basically saying the writing is on the wall. I hate to say it, but for playing fantasy, Aaron Rodgers used to be a player where I used to, get and kill. But now, like, I actually had him on one team, and he just didn't do that great. And I think he's a legend. But I think his career, he 2-3 years, and it might be, downhill as far as his football days. So, it was a surprise, but we know the NFL. Also, with the 30th pick, the Dolphins. I feel like the Dolphins made good picks and bad picks. I feel like the cornerback they got, I feel like, it was some better ones. Like, even with Jeff Gladney going the next pick, I had him rated way higher. And then the last pick of the draft, I did pick a running back for KC. Now we know KC is dominant offense. So I did see, like, them getting a running back would be a good pick, but I didn't have them picking the running back out of LSU. I actually had him going in the second round, and I feel like Swift would been. They could have got Swift and it would have been crazy, But overall, very good draft. The second round is going to be outstanding. Like I said, I think a lot of these GMs need to go ahead and trade back into the second round to get some of these picks. I wouldn't say who's a winner of the first round. I like the fact that Miami went out and got Tua. I know a lot of people were down on them, but in their position, it's like you got to do it because we know if this guy didn't get hurt, get a chance that he'd have been discussing the number one pick. And I think Tristan was the steal of the draft because Tom Brady now he got Gronk back, and he went and got a very athletic offensive tackle. And Cowboys getting Lamb, I think that was an excellent pick for them. Teams that let me down was definitely the Eagles. The Eagles let me down, and then the Raiders. They had several picks, but I will just say that reaching out for that cornerback, that might be a move that bite them in the butt in the long run. But thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, if you try the website ain't down. I gotta step my website game up. But thank you for supporting Dynasty Sports Media. Check us out on Instagram. Have a good one.